Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Service Dog channel. Just so you know, I'm not a lawyer, a professional dog trainer, or a disability representative. The information I give you comes from my personal experiences and information freely available on the internet. Section 107 of the Copyright Act allows the unlicensed use of copyrighted materials for the purpose of commentary, and that's what I'm doing right now. MSN.com has an article titled 9 Rules to Know When Bringing Service Dogs into Grocery Stores by Davis Eberhardt. You know, I really should start a theoretical wall of shame for some of the articles I find about service dogs. The article lists 9 alleged rules for service dogs in grocery stores. In one rule, Eberhardt even contradicts himself, stating that the rule is not required by the ADA. The author states, taking a service dog into a grocery store requires following some key guidelines to make sure everything goes smoothly. I take issue with the word requires. He continues, to make sure service dogs and their handlers have a good shopping experience while respecting others, follow these guidelines for bringing service dogs into grocery stores. These rules are required to make sure everyone has a good shopping experience? Oh, really? It seems that these rules are simply his preference, or maybe he can call it service dog etiquette in grocery stores. But then again, who gets to determine service dog etiquette? According to Google, etiquette is determined by culture, power, and intimacy. Okay, I can see these rules being the result of cultural beliefs, but the power behind some of these rules does not exist because they contradict the law, the real power. For example, rule number 1 states, service dogs should be clearly identified, but according to the ADA, they are not required to wear special vests or tags. This is the author's number 1 rule, and it contradicts the law, and he admits it. Can you think of any reason why a handler would not have a special vest or tag on their service dog? Look at the FAQs about service dogs on the DOJ's ADA website. Do you know why the ADA does not require vests or tags? Write your answers in the comments below. Rule number 2 states service dogs must be under the handler's control at all times. This statement lines up with the ADA. It's fine. I'm good with that. Rule number 3 is avoid food and product areas. Service dogs should not come into direct contact with food or products, although they are permitted to accompany their handlers through self-service food lines. However, handlers should ensure that their dogs do not sniff or paw at items on shelves. Eberhardt is correct in saying that service dogs should not be sticking their noses up into the food. They can raise their heads up to a few inches below the self-service food level and sniff, though. There is nothing wrong with that. But there are no prohibitions in the ADA guidelines on service dogs to keep them from touching products. When he mentions not touching products, he's wrong. It's fine for a dog to sniff a product on the shelf, although it's preferable that they don't. Certain aisles contain very strong-smelling products that are bound to activate the urge to investigate, like the dog food and treat aisle. If the service dog's nose touches a bag of dog food, there is nothing wrong with that. Furthermore, some dogs are trained to retrieve products for their handlers because the handler cannot reach the items. Rule number 4. Keep a safe distance from other shoppers. It's essential for service dogs to maintain a respectful distance from other customers. This helps avoid potential distractions or discomfort for other shoppers. Sure, but with a real service dog, usually it's the opposite that happens. Other shoppers approach the dog or do not respect a safe distance from the dog, sometimes even stepping on their paws or petting the dog. Service dogs should not approach or interact with others unless necessary for their work, as this could be distracting or intrusive. Distracting or intrusive? Goodness, where do I start? I had a service dog with me for 6 years straight, nearly 24/7, and the opposite was true. Other shoppers distracted and intruded on me and my service dog. I cannot tell you how many times I got delayed getting home or heading to the restroom because of other shoppers stopping me. I'm not mad about it. I'm just saying it's ironic that Eberhardt is concerned about other shoppers being distracted by my service dog. In a grocery store, The worst thing my dog did to other shoppers is that when they would pass by and they had a cat or dog at home, my dog could smell it and would turn her head to sniff the people as they walked past, occasionally making contact with her nose to their clothing if they walked close enough to us. Was this ideal? No, but it's not worth kicking a service dog out of your store for. Rule number 5, proper access and handling. Service dogs have the right to accompany their handlers into grocery stores under the ADA, but they should be handled appropriately. This means using a leash or harness. Wrong, my friend. The ADA makes an exception for people with service dogs where the leash interferes with the dog's work. They are allowed to be under voice control rather than leashed or harnessed. Rule 6, do not put dogs in shopping carts. Oh, how I would love for this one to be correct. I would love for the ADA to come out and say this is a legal guideline, but unfortunately, the wording of the ADA says generally the dog must stay on the floor or the person must carry the dog. The key word here is generally. The ADA does not come right out and say no like it does in many other instances. Instead, it says generally. Out of 24 yes or no frequently asked questions on the ADA's website, the 2 that don't have yes or no for answers are this one and one other question. The other question's answer refers people to the Fair Housing Act for the answer. This question could easily be answered with a no, but it's not. I wish it was. I think maybe the logic for not setting an outright ban on the shopping cart issue is because you could have a situation where there's a dog that needs to smell its handler's breath to detect blood sugar levels if the person is diabetic, but the handler is very elderly and weak, making it too hard for the person to carry the dog around on her chest, thus the need for using the grocery cart, at least the child seating section of it, to relieve the person from the burden of carrying the dog. But I'd personally prefer that if a dog must be in the grocery cart, and this is just my preference, there should be something between the dog and the cart protecting the cart from the dirty parts of the dog that could get germs on it. Then people could put something like an apple on the contaminated surface, and somebody might eat that apple without washing it. Gross. Trust me, I despise seeing little dogs in big sections of grocery cart baskets. And I have no idea what task they are performing in there. If you know, leave it in the comments section below so you can educate me. Rule 7. Respect store policies. While service dogs are generally allowed in grocery stores, individual stores may have specific policies regarding their presence. It's important for handlers to be aware of and respect these policies. Sir, what on earth are you talking about? First of all, service dogs are not generally allowed in grocery stores. They are allowed in grocery stores. And you think public access rights are different in other stores? No, sir. They have the same rights in all stores. The only designated areas for service dogs or restrictions on certain parts of the store would be a kitchen area or behind the deli counter, wherever the public is not allowed to go in a grocery store. Anywhere a customer can go, their service animal is also allowed to go by law, regardless of policies. ADA service dogs frequently asked question number 25 asked, when can service animals be excluded? And the answer says, the ADA does not require covered entities to modify policies, practices, or procedures if it would, quote, fundamentally alter the nature of the goods, services, programs, or activities provided to the public. Then the very next question asked, when might a service dog's presence fundamentally alter the nature of a service or program provided to the public? And the answer states, in most settings, the presence of a service dog will not result in a fundamental alteration. The only example of alteration given by the ADA is animal exhibits in a zoo where a dog would be the predator or prey of the animal being exhibited. Even so, zoos have never restricted me or my dog from any area. Service animals are definitely not allowed to go into public swimming pools. Rule number 8. Notify store staff if assistance is needed. Sure, no issues with that one. And finally, Rule 9, minimize distractions. Service dogs should be trained to remain focused and avoid causing distractions. This means the dog should not bark excessively, beg for food, or engage in disruptive behavior. Yeah, that's right, no issues here. Now, note that the author cites as his source of information the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health, which is a link to a research study on the National Institutes of Health website. The National Institutes of Health, NIH, is a medical research agency that's part of the United States Department of Health and Human Services, and the website is a place where researchers post their studies and conclusions. You know, like experiments, surveys, stuff like that. This table from the study shows that a percentage of people have misconceptions about service dog laws. The survey asked people which questions can be legally asked of a service dog handler. The correct answers to the questions are in bold print. As you can see, the percentage of people who admit they don't know or get the answer wrong is higher than the percentage of correct answers. So this study that Eberhardt linked as his source is not related to the rules he made up. The study is titled, Results Suggest Widespread Misconceptions About Definitions, Rules, Regulations, and Rights Associated with Each Type of Assistance Dog. Let me tell you, he is one of those people who is spreading misconceptions about service dog rules. The study just reinforces the fact that the public does not have a good understanding of the rules or law per se. The conclusion of the study never recommends service dog rules for anywhere, much less a grocery store specifically. The article addresses the definition of an assistance animal, access rights and laws, training, certifications and conditions for removal, fake dog laws, how the survey was conducted, the survey results, and the conclusion. Shockingly, Eberhardt's only source mentions nothing about the guidelines or rules he's recommending. He should have put a link to the ADA's FAQs about service dogs. People would have gotten much more pertinent information, and it would have been 100% accurate. Anyhow, I wish people who publish articles about service dog rules would have somebody who knows the law review it before they publish it. I'm sure he had good intentions, but publishing false information can do more harm than good. Please be kind to one another in the comments section. Some people are still learning. Like, share, and subscribe.